At the urging of Brandon, I confessed my feelings to my childhood sweetheart, the girl who had grown up with us, during a school-wide gala event. I meticulously planned this confession. Not only did I spend several months' worth of living expenses, but I also begged many people to help me coordinate everything. When I stood in the middle of the crowd, holding flowers and dropping to one knee in front of her, she pointed at me and laughed so hard in front of everyone that she nearly doubled over. "Elio, how can you be this stupid? Brandon is messing with you." Standing among the crowd, Brandon revealed a faint smile of triumph in his eyes. Chapter 1. In the center of the crowd, I tightly clutched a bouquet of dazzling red roses in my right hand as I stared at Zara across from me, my fingertips turning pale from the pressure. Zara seemed not to notice that my face was even redder than the roses. Smiling brightly, she said, "Elio, you're way too gullible. You actually believed something Brandon said offhandedly." A minute earlier, after the school's New Year performance had ended, I borrowed a microphone from a friend in the arts department and publicly confessed my feelings to Zara, my childhood friend who had grown up with me. The three of us, Zara, Brandon, and I, had known each other since we were kids. From elementary school to middle school to university, we had somehow always ended up attending the same schools, and we were incredibly close, practically inseparable, but we all had little secrets from one another. For example, the fact that I liked Zara, only Brandon knew about that. A week earlier, Brandon had suddenly approached me with a mysterious look on his face and told me he had learned a secret from Zara. Zara liked me. The moment I heard that, my heart nearly leapt out of my chest. How was that possible? The person Zara had always liked was Leonardo, the campus heartthrob acknowledged by the entire faculty as ridiculously handsome. That was also why I had never dared to reveal my feelings. A campus king and a campus queen, they were basically a match made in heaven. What right did I have to interfere? All I'd do was create unnecessary trouble for everyone. Brandon clearly hadn't thought that deeply about it. He swore up and down that Zara really had admitted she liked me. He even said that if I publicly confessed to her during the New Year gala a week later, it would become the best birthday gift she had ever received. That's right, New Year's Day, 1 week later, was also Zara's birthday. Even though I still didn't fully believe it, I was tempted. What if Brandon was telling the truth? I was like a toad, foolishly fantasizing that one day a white swan would take pity on me. Screw it. At worst, I'd embarrass myself once. But if it worked out, it would be the happiest moment of my life. If we hadn't grown up together, a campus beauty like Zara, with looks and a figure that perfect, would never have crossed paths with someone like me. That said, I was still terrified deep down, terrified of being rejected in public. More than once, I asked Brandon to test the waters with Zara. If she showed even the slightest hesitation, I would immediately cancel the confession plan. Thankfully, every update Brandon brought back reassured me. He told me Zara was thrilled after learning about my plan to confess to her, and from my own observations of her lately, she really did seem unusually excited. She chatted with me far more often than before. She would even text me good morning or remind me to sleep early, almost like we were already acting like a couple. That only strengthened my resolve. After the New Year performance ended and the students gradually began leaving, I arranged the candles and flowers for the confession. Then I borrowed a microphone from a friend who worked in the arts department and stopped Zara in front of the several hundred people who hadn't left yet, publicly telling her how I felt. "Zara, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" At first, surprise appeared on Zara's beautiful face, then delight, and slowly, her smile widened. "Say yes, say yes." The crowd's cheering gradually merged into a single deafening chant, and in that instant, it felt like my heart had ascended straight into heaven. Then, "Ha ha ha, Elio, how can you be this dumb? Brandon was pranking you." Zara laughed so hard she nearly doubled over, while my heart plummeted from heaven straight into hell in an instant. Pranking me? Chapter 2. Ever since the confession incident, I hadn't spoken a single word to those two for 3 days. Even if we were childhood friends, even if we had always been close, the joke they pulled had gone way too far. To this day, people were still mocking me on the school forum. Even when I walked around campus, people pointed at me and whispered behind my back, "Elio, let's go." Zara invited us to a bar near campus tonight. Heard there's some special event going on. Brandon shoved open my dorm room door and called out loudly. This guy hadn't contacted me once in the past 3 days, and now that he finally showed up, not only did he not apologize, he acted like nothing had ever happened. "You guys go ahead. I'm not feeling well." I lay half reclined on my bed, replying indifferently, "What happened to you?" Only then did Brandon notice the thick bandages wrapped around my left arm, which was hanging in a sling. "I fell a couple nights ago and fractured my arm." I didn't mention that on the night my confession failed, I had gotten blackout drunk and ended up in a fight. "How were you so careless?" Brandon looked me over before adding, "Come on already. Zara's downstairs waiting for us. Didn't I already say I'm injured? I need rest. Besides, I can't exactly drink looking like this. Then don't drink. Just come hang out. What's the point of going to a bar if I'm not drinking? To watch you shake your ass like some drunken clown. I snapped impatiently. Brandon leaned closer with a mysterious grin. I heard Beatrice has been performing at Spring Bar these past couple days. Don't you want to go see her? Beatrice. My heart stirred slightly as the image of a beautiful girl holding a guitar surfaced in my mind. The finance department's campus queen, one of the university's top 10 beauties, and arguably even prettier than Zara. Someone like her had absolutely nothing to do with me. Not going. Come on already. In the end, Brandon forcibly dragged me out of bed, and downstairs I finally saw Zara waiting for us. After 3 days apart, she was still as beautiful as ever. Her tight white blouse outlined her curvy figure perfectly, while the black lace bra beneath faintly showed through the fabric. Below her knee-length black skirt stretched a pair of long, slender legs wrapped in white stockings. From afar, she looked dazzling, almost goddess-like. Light makeup adorned her delicate face, and her soft red lips gleamed temptingly. The moment she saw me, Zara's lips curled upward slightly, but when her eyes landed on the bandages around my arm, her expression changed instantly. Elio, what happened to you? Nothing, just fell down, I answered coldly. I was even angrier at her than at Brandon. She was the one who had told Brandon she liked me, yet she still rejected me in front of everyone and pushed all the blame onto Brandon. If I still held on to even the slightest fantasy about her, then I really would be the definition of a pathetic simp. You're hurt this badly and didn't even tell me. Let me take you to the hospital. Zara hurried to my side and gently grabbed my injured arm, concern flashing through her beautiful eyes. Without making it obvious, I pulled away from her hand and shook my head. I already went to the campus clinic. The doctor said it's nothing serious. I just need rest. Zara froze for a moment but insisted. No, injuries like this can't be taken lightly. I'm taking you to the hospital. I said there's no need. I barked impatiently. She had already rejected me in public. So why was she still acting all caring now? Hadn't she messed with me enough already? Zara stiffened, then forced out a strained smile. Then go back and get some rest. Don't come to the bar tonight. That only annoyed me more. They dragged me out of bed, and now they wanted me to go back. What was I? Some dog being toyed with? Let's go. Didn't you say the finance department's campus queen is singing at the bar? You guys can drink. I'm going to check out the pretty girl. My tone left no room for argument, and after speaking, I strode toward the school gate first. Zara shot Brandon a reproachful glare, while Brandon simply spread his hands helplessly. Chapter 3. Inside the bar, neon lights flickered everywhere, yet the usual chaos and deafening noise were nowhere to be found. A stunningly beautiful girl with an innocent, pure-looking face sat on the stage. Her long legs, wrapped in tight jeans, were crossed elegantly as she held a guitar in her arms, softly singing a beautiful folk song. Since most of the customers were students from the nearby university district, the atmosphere wasn't nearly as wild or smoky as people usually imagine bars to be. Most people sat quietly at their tables, either admiring or yearningly gazing at the pure-looking beauty on stage. A few more outgoing couples swayed gently together in the dance floor area. Zara was sitting beside me at the moment, staring at me resentfully, clearly unhappy that I had come to a bar while injured. Are you mad at me? Zara suddenly asked. Mad? About what? I feigned confusion. About that night when I rejected you. Actually, that day. Zara. Leonardo's here. Brandon suddenly interrupted her. Zara immediately turned toward the entrance of the bar. Several tall, broad-shouldered young men walked in. The man in the center had sharp brows, bright eyes, and a tall, slender figure. Even though the guys around him were all handsome too, he still stood out effortlessly from the crowd. No wonder he was the campus heartthrob. Zara's attention was completely drawn to Leonardo. I turned my head away, only to notice a graceful figure suddenly standing beside me. When I looked up slightly, I saw Beatrice smiling softly at me. How are your injuries? Feeling any better? Ah, yeah, much better. I blinked in confusion. Did I know her? You forgot already. I was the one who took you to the campus clinic. Beatrice smiled gently, then pointed toward the seat Zara had just vacated. Can I sit here? Sure, I nodded. A faint fragrance drifted over as Beatrice sat down almost right next to me, so close that I could practically feel the softness of her arm brushing against mine. Thanks for that night. I was completely blackout drunk and can't remember anything that happened. I looked at Beatrice awkwardly and subtly shifted a little farther away. Looks like you really don't remember. Honestly, I should be the one thanking you instead. Beatrice stared at me with her beautiful eyes, an unreadable glimmer flickering within them. Thanking me? I genuinely couldn't remember what had happened that night. All I remembered was getting completely wasted, being kicked out of the bar by employees after closing time, then trying to head back to school. The next morning, I woke up in a room at the campus clinic. Oh, and somewhere in the middle of all that, I apparently got into a fight, ending up covered in injuries with a fractured arm. That night, I was walking back to school from the bar when I ran into a few thugs. You stepped in and drove them away. Otherwise, things could have gotten dangerous for me. Beatrice looked directly into my eyes and said sincerely, "Thank you. So that's what happened." I rubbed my fractured arm and laughed lightly. Guess this injury was worth it after all. Does it hurt? Beatrice reached out a small hand and gently touched the bandages on my arm. "It's nothing, just a minor injury." I said it casually, completely forgetting how I had screamed like a dying animal back at the hospital. Beatrice hesitated for a moment before suddenly leaning closer and whispering softly into my ear, "I want to ask you for a favor. Could you pretend to be my boyfriend?" Her warm breath brushed against my ear, instantly making my entire body freeze. Chapter 4. Seeing me freeze up, Beatrice suddenly burst into laughter. "I only mean pretending for a while. The pay for performing at the bar is really good, and I need this job. But every night I get off work really late, and it's not very safe walking back alone. I was hoping you could walk me back to campus every night. I can pay you for it. If it were anyone else, forget payment, even if they had to pay out of pocket themselves. There would still be countless guys fighting for the chance to be Beatrice's knight in shining armor. But I honestly wasn't too interested. First, because of my inferiority complex. A perfect campus queen like Beatrice, beautiful and talented, was the kind of girl completely out of my league. Forcing myself into her world would only bring unnecessary heartache. Second, I had just been toyed with by Zara. Zhang Wuji's mother really was right. The prettier the woman, the better she is at lying. A top-tier beauty like this wasn't someone I could handle, so it was better to keep my distance. My arm still hasn't healed. If something dangerous happens, I probably won't be able to protect you. I politely refused, but Beatrice pulled a small can of pepper spray from her purse and waved it in front of me. Safety isn't really the issue. It's just that some guys keep obsessively harassing me and even blocking my way back to school. It's seriously messing up my life. If I had a boyfriend, those guys would probably back off a little. So she wanted to use me as a human shield. That made me even less willing to agree. "Who's this?" At that moment, Zara suddenly returned, her beautiful eyes locking onto Beatrice. "Hi, I'm Beatrice, Elio's girlfriend." Puffed. I instantly sprayed the mouthful of mineral water I had just swallowed. This woman, I hadn't even agreed yet. Elio has a girlfriend. Why haven't I heard about this? Zara stared at Beatrice coldly. "That's my seat. Move. Didn't you leave already? Or was everyone supposed to reserve it for you forever?" Beatrice shot back without the slightest intention of backing down. The atmosphere between them suddenly felt like it was about to explode. Where the hell was Brandon? That idiot had vanished somewhere, and he still wasn't back to drag Zara away. "Elio, who is this woman? Didn't I ask you to save my seat?" Zara suddenly turned her gaze toward me. At the same time, Beatrice also looked over, a trace of expectation visible in her beautiful eyes. "She's a friend," I answered vaguely. "A friend? Or your girlfriend?" Zara questioned sharply, sounding like an angry girlfriend catching a mistress in the act. "What does that have to do with you?" Annoyed, and a little spiteful, I answered directly. "My girlfriend." Zara froze. Clearly, my answer was the last thing she had expected. She stood there awkwardly, completely at a loss. A flash of delight crossed Beatrice's eyes. She extended a slender white hand toward me. "Give me your phone." I unlocked it and handed it over. Beatrice opened my WeChat, scanned her QR code to add herself, then changed her contact nickname to Baby. "Think about what I said. Starting tomorrow, I'll be getting off work at midnight, so remember to come pick me up. I won't interrupt you and your friends tonight." She emphasized the words, "your friends," heavily, then smugly glanced at Zara before standing up and leaving. After that, Zara kept a gloomy expression on her face and barely spoke another word. It wasn't until Brandon finally swaggered back from the dance floor, hips twisting ridiculously as he walked, that Zara grabbed her purse and left early. "What's with Zara? Did you piss her off again?" Brandon asked in confusion. I shook my head, too lazy to explain. Chapter 5. The next afternoon, after finishing my last class and walking out of the classroom, I immediately spotted a stunning figure standing in the hallway outside. "Class is over." Beatrice's cheerful voice rang out. "Come on, let's go eat." Bang. Someone slammed hard into my back. Zara brushed past me without even turning her head and walked away directly. Brandon glanced at me before quickly chasing after her. "Is your friend jealous?" Beatrice looked thoughtfully at Zara's departing figure. I ignored the question and looked at her instead. "Why are you here?" "Starting today, aren't we boyfriend and girlfriend?" Beatrice walked closer as she spoke, wrapping herself around one of my arms. The soft fullness of her chest gently pressed against me. "Wasn't the deal just that I'd walk you home? If we're acting, we have to commit to the role completely." Along the way, countless people pointed and whispered about me. I wasn't sure if they recognized me as the clown who got publicly rejected during his confession a few days ago, or if they were simply jealous that a beautiful girl like Beatrice was by my side. "How about we eat at the small cafeteria on the second floor?" Beatrice noticed my discomfort and thoughtfully suggested it. Forget it. Didn't you say you wanted me as a shield? Let's just eat in the main cafeteria. Elio, you bastard. You know the finance department's campus queen and never introduced her to us. Brandon walked over carrying a tray and plopped down beside me. Hello, I'm Elio's girlfriend, Beatrice. Beatrice smiled sweetly. Brandon froze for a second before blankly nodding. Oh, where's Zara? I asked. She wasn't feeling well, so she went back to the dorm to rest. What happened? Her stomach's acting up again. Same old problem. You know how it is. Brandon shrugged. Drop some medicine off for her later. Okay, I've got something to do this afternoon. Oh, I nodded, not thinking much of it. Across from me, however, Beatrice gave Brandon a meaningful look, right in front of his supposed girlfriend. He was asking Elio to buy medicine for a girl he had confessed to before. Unless Brandon's emotional intelligence was non-existent, then he clearly had bad intentions. After all, he didn't know that their relationship was fake. Hee. You three really are close. Elio's never bought medicine for me before, Beatrice said lightly. Well, obviously, the three of us grew up together, so our bond definitely isn't something outsiders can compare to. Brandon nodded proudly. Elio, I'll go with you this afternoon. I don't have class anyway. Beatrice puffed her lips slightly and spoke in a spoiled, coquettish tone. Sure, I agreed without overthinking it. At the pharmacy, I picked out several common stomach medicines and was just about to pay when Beatrice suddenly snatched the boxes from my hands with a smile. I'll pay. I need to buy some girl's medicine anyway. Go wait outside. All right, I nodded. The medicine wasn't expensive anyway. After arriving downstairs at Zara's dorm, I called her. She sounded like she was in a pretty good mood on the phone. When she heard I had brought her medicine, she hurried downstairs wearing cartoon pajamas and slippers. But the moment she noticed Beatrice standing beside me, the smile on her face instantly disappeared. Here's the stomach medicine and your favorite braised chicken rice. If you keep starving yourself, your stomach's eventually going to rot. I spoke irritably. Even if it rots, that's none of your business. Zara huffed angrily, yet still reached out and took the bag from my hands. Hurry back already. I'm leaving. Wait. Just as I turned to leave, Zara suddenly called out from behind me. What's this? I turned around only to see her holding up an unopened box of ultra-thin Durex condoms. I definitely didn't buy that. Startled, I instinctively looked toward Beatrice standing beside me. Elio, you jerk. Zara glanced at Beatrice, her eyes instantly reddening. Then she angrily hurled the box at me before storming back into the dorm building. You put that in there? I asked darkly as I watched Beatrice bend down and pick up the box. Forgot to take it back out. Beatrice smiled innocently. I turned and walked away immediately. Are you mad? Beatrice hurried after me, walking at my side. I stayed silent. She already rejected you in front of so many people. Do you still like her? That's none of your business, I snapped. I'm your girlfriend. How is it not my business when you keep thinking about another girl? Beatrice's beautiful eyes instantly reddened, a layer of mist appearing in them as she looked at me pitifully. Immediately, several murderous gazes from nearby people landed on me. A few passing guys were even cracking their knuckles, looking ready to rush over and beat me up at any second. Sure enough, the prettier the woman, the better the actress. Miss, we're only pretending. I grabbed Beatrice's wrist helplessly, but I want the fake relationship to become real. Chapter 6. Under the bright glow of the streetlights, I quietly waited by the back entrance of the bar. Before long, a tall figure carrying a guitar stepped outside. You came. A smile bloomed across Beatrice's beautiful face as she set down her guitar and threw herself into my arms. I gently patted her head and picked up the guitar for her. Let's go. Yes, our fake relationship had become real. She was officially my girlfriend now. The moment she blushed and confessed to me beneath the shadows of the roadside trees, I think I completely fell for her. I had hesitated before. I had just failed a confession to someone else, only to immediately start dating another girl afterward. Didn't that make me seem too fickle? But when I looked into Beatrice's eyes as she stared at me, I simply couldn't reject her. A campus queen confessing to me. How many people could calmly turn down something that felt straight out of a dream? So just because I saved you once, you decided to devote yourself to me. I held Beatrice's soft little hand as moonlight painted a faint blush across her fair cheeks. The sweet smile on her lips was mesmerizing. She tilted her head and looked at me with an adorable expression. So you really don't remember me? Seeing my confusion, Beatrice reminded me. A year ago at a bar, a few drunk thugs were harassing a girl. That girl was you. I widened my eyes. Of course not. Beatrice rolled her eyes at me. Back then, you were the only person brave enough to stop them. Then you got beaten half to death, and I was the one who took you to the hospital. The memory slowly resurfaced in my mind, the blurry figure from back then gradually overlapping with the girl standing before me now. At the time, though, I had been beaten bloody and barely conscious, so I never recognized her. After that incident, The bar had been forced to shut down for half a year for renovations and inspections. When it reopened, it only accepted students from the nearby university district. What a coincidence. 1 year later, you ended up taking me to the hospital again. Beatrice wrapped herself around my arm. The thugs from back then got released from prison a few days ago. They found out I was the one who called the police, so they deliberately waited to ambush me on my way back to school that night. Hearing that, my heart tightened. If I hadn't happened to run into her while drunk that night, then Beatrice would've. Beatrice lifted her head and looked directly into my eyes. The moment you suddenly appeared and saved me that night, I knew you were the one I'd chosen for the rest of my life. The beauty in my arms slowly closed her gorgeous eyes. Her rosy lips glistened softly beneath the moonlight, as if silently waiting for something. I lowered my head and gently kissed her lips. Beatrice let out a soft whimper and melted weakly into my embrace. Just then, a drifting cloud covered the moonlight overhead. Greedily, I deepened the kiss, savoring her sweetness for a long while before finally pulling away reluctantly. Beatrice leaned against my chest, breathing softly. I really should thank fate for giving me a chance to play the hero and save a beauty, I whispered while gazing down at her breathtaking face. Beatrice rolled her beautiful eyes at me. You should be thanking me for making the first move. Do you know how embarrassing it is for a girl to confess first, then confess again? No way. You confessed to me this time, Beatrice said coquettishly. Chapter 7. Ring. Ring. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. I pulled it out of my pocket. It was already past 12:30 in the morning. Who would be calling me at this hour? Zara. The moment I saw the caller ID, I froze. Oh, your old flame is calling, Beatrice teased. She's just a friend. I lightly smacked Beatrice's curvy backside and corrected her seriously. Beatrice rolled her eyes and motioned for me to answer first. Hello. Elio, where are you? I glanced at Beatrice beside me, only to see her quietly step farther away to give me space. I'm picking Beatrice up after work, I answered softly. There was no reason to hide it. You two are together. Zara's voice trembled slightly. Yeah, I nodded. But before I could say anything else, the call abruptly disconnected. Why'd she suddenly hang up? I tried calling back, only to hear an automated message saying her phone was turned off. She hung up pretty fast, Beatrice said curiously. Her phone probably died. She does that all the time. I shrugged indifferently. You've never considered that she might be jealous? Beatrice looked at me meaningfully. Jealous? I blinked. Why would she be jealous? Jealous over you, obviously. Beatrice smiled sweetly. A chill instantly ran down my spine. For some reason, that adorable smile carried a terrifying hint of danger behind it. There's no way she'd be jealous of me. You know all about the confession thing, I hurriedly explained. Exactly. You publicly confessed to her with flowers and candles and everything. Beatrice puffed up her cheeks unhappily. Meanwhile, I practically had to chase after you just to make you my boyfriend. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. Finally, she pulled a small blue box out of her pocket. It was the same box of Durex condoms from earlier that day. I originally thought we might use this tonight. Zara was right. You really are a jerk. Beatrice tossed the box at me and huffed angrily as she turned toward campus. I quickly grabbed her hand and pulled her back into my arms. I was wrong. Okay. A smug glint flashed through Beatrice's beautiful eyes. Since you admitted your mistake so sincerely, I'll let it slide this time. Then, us. I glanced meaningfully at the little box in my hand. Beatrice's pretty face instantly flushed red. We literally just started dating and you already want to take me to a hotel? You pervert. You're the one who bought it though, and you still dare argue. In the end, we obediently returned to campus. Beatrice hadn't actually rejected my suggestion about getting a room together. Instead, she only asked me one question. If Zara really does like you, could you decisively reject her? If you can, then I'll go with you. I gently held Beatrice's hand. I can. Then Beatrice asked another question. What if she says she'd rather die than lose you? Could you still reject her then? I hesitated. I want you to love me the same way I love you, Beatrice whispered softly. Not just because of my appearance, and not because you're using me to get revenge on Zara for rejecting you. She gently kissed the corner of my lips. When you've truly made up your mind to love only me, then you can take me to a hotel. At that point, I'll give myself to you completely. Chapter 8. Over the next few days, Zara practically avoided me completely. Even when we ran into each other during class, she never greeted me, acting as though I didn't even exist. Brandon had also been unusually busy lately, constantly going out partying and even skipping quite a few classes. As for me, I spent nearly every day glued to Beatrice. We ate together daily, wandered around campus together, and every night I either picked her up after work or simply waited for her at the bar until her shift ended. At the same time, I naturally became her personal knight in shining armor. After all, she was way too beautiful, and there were always guys trying to flirt with her. My injuries also turned out to be less serious than I'd thought. In just half a month, I was already able to move my arm a little and no longer needed the sling. Of course, that also had a lot to do with Beatrice's careful and attentive care. That night, I was waiting for Beatrice to finish work at the bar like usual when Brandon suddenly called me. "Elio, where are you?" His voice sounded extremely anxious. "At Spring Bar." "What's wrong?" "Zara got hit by a car while crossing the street." "Get to the hospital now." I shot to my feet instantly. "How is she? Is she okay?" I asked urgently. "I don't know. She's still in surgery. Just get over here first." "All right, I'm coming right now." I glanced toward the stage. Beatrice was sitting there with her eyes closed, softly singing a folk song while playing her guitar. Panic filled my chest, and I didn't even have time to say goodbye to her before rushing outside to hail a taxi to the hospital. On the way there, I sent Beatrice a message telling her about Zara's accident. I asked her to request leave from her boss and head back early tonight since I probably wouldn't be able to pick her up. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Brandon was sitting alone in the hallway outside the ward, his expression dark and gloomy. My heart tightened immediately. "How's Zara?" I asked nervously. "She's out of danger now, but her injuries are pretty serious. She just finished surgery." "How did she suddenly get into a car accident?" I clenched my fists tightly. "The traffic police said the driver ran a red light. Zara seemed distracted while crossing the street and didn't react in time." "Fuck." I slammed my fist against the wall. "Where's that bastard now? Which ward is he in?" "The police already took him away." I sat down beside Brandon, pulled out 2 cigarettes, handed him one, and silently waited. During that time, Beatrice sent me 2 messages asking about Zara's condition and telling me not to worry too much. I called her back and told her to head home early since it wasn't safe to be out too late. As always, she obediently agreed. Chapter 9. It wasn't until midnight that Zara finally woke up from her unconscious state. "Nurse, she's okay, right?" I hurriedly asked. "You're Elio, right?" The nurse smiled knowingly. "The patient's condition is basically stable now, but the anesthesia hasn't fully worn off yet. Her emotions might be unstable after waking up, so stay with her for a while." I froze for a second. "How do you know my name?" The nurse gave me an ambiguous smile. "You'll understand once you go inside." As I pushed open the door, the mixed smell of alcohol and disinfectant hit me immediately. On the hospital bed lay a petite figure, and 4 needle inserted into her delicate arm. The anesthesia still hadn't completely faded, and Zara's consciousness remained hazy. She kept calling my name over and over. "Elio. Elio. I'm sorry, don't leave me." She repeated the same few words endlessly while my expression grew complicated. Did she really like me? Then why had she rejected me back then? "Elio. I'm sorry," Zara murmured softly again, but hearing it only made me feel worse. I already had a girlfriend now, and I had left Beatrice alone at the bar to rush over here. Since I now knew Zara was safe, it was time for me to leave. "Brandon, stay here and take care of her," I said quietly. Brandon looked at me in surprise before silently nodding. I had just opened the door when a weak voice suddenly called out behind me. "Elio, don't go." I turned around and saw Zara staring at me with her beautiful eyes wide open. "Zara, Elio still has to go pick Beatrice up after work." "Don't stop him," Brandon interrupted sharply. He had been beside me earlier when I spoke to Beatrice on the phone, so he knew perfectly well that she had already gotten off work early. Yet now he deliberately lied to Zara, saying I was going to pick Beatrice up. I didn't think too much about it, assuming he simply wanted Zara to stop clinging to me so I could leave peacefully. Sure enough, the moment Zara heard Beatrice's name, a trace of disappointment flashed across her eyes before she painfully closed them again. Click, the door shut behind me. As my footsteps gradually faded down the hallway, Zara suddenly opened her eyes again and looked at Brandon. "Brandon, you lied to me back then, didn't you?" Elio confessed to me. It wasn't because. By the time I returned to school and stepped out of the taxi, I suddenly heard someone calling my name nearby. "Elio. Beatrice." I turned around in surprise and saw the beautiful girl emerging from the darkness. Her usually fair cheeks had turned icy from the cold night wind. "Why are you here?" I reached out, cupping her soft face in my hands and gently rubbing warmth back into her skin. "I was waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" I stared at her blankly. "Why didn't you tell me? If I hadn't come back all night, were you seriously going to wait here the whole night?" Beatrice nodded softly. "Are you out of your mind?" I scolded angrily. "What if you got sick from freezing out here? What if some creep came after you?" A trace of grievance appeared on Beatrice's face. "I didn't want to make things hard for you," she whispered. "What if Zara refused to let you leave?" I instantly fell silent, gently pulling her fragile body into my arms. I whispered, "You're my girlfriend. Of course I'd choose you. Hee hee, even though you yelled at me. I'm not angry at all." Beatrice leaned quietly against my chest. "Waiting for you here was the only way I wouldn't feel scared. If anything bad happened, I could immediately call the security guard uncle for help." As I stroked her soft hair, I asked in confusion, Scared of what? Scared that you wouldn't come back, and even if you did, you wouldn't come back to me anymore. Chapter 10. Over the next few days, Beatrice and I occasionally visited Zara together, while Brandon spent most of the time taking care of her, not wanting her family to worry. Zara never told them about the car accident, but during those few days, I clearly noticed Brandon's expression growing worse every time he returned from the hospital. That afternoon, just as I reached the door to Zara's room, I suddenly heard the sound of something smashing inside. Get out, I don't want to see you. Zara, it's already been so long. Elio and Beatrice are all lovey-dovey now, so why are you torturing yourself like this? My business is none of your concern. I don't want to see you, so get lost. Zara's furious voice echoed through the room. Well damn, what are you two arguing about? I could hear you screaming all the way down the hall. What? Planning to end your friendship or something? I pushed open the door and mocked them jokingly. Trash was scattered all over the floor. Clearly Zara's handiwork. What's with the temper? Your period hit early or something? I tried my best to lighten the atmosphere. Those two had argued since we were kids, and every single time, I'd be the idiot who jumped into crack jokes until they both redirected their anger toward me instead. There was no such thing as peaceful years. This friendship of over a decade had survived purely because I carried it on my back. At least, that was what I always bragged to them. Get lost. Zara's pretty face was ice cold as she cursed at me. Brandon looked at me, then glanced behind me. Beatrice didn't come. Nope. She has class today. Oh. Brandon nodded. Then I'll head back first. Call me if anything happens, and I'll come replace you. I nodded, but Zara suddenly threw a pillow at Brandon, smacking him in the chest. You don't need to come anymore. If I need anything, I'll call a nurse. What did Brandon even do to you? You're acting like you swallowed gunpowder. I asked while cleaning the trash off the floor after Brandon left. None of your business. Zara buried her head beneath the blanket, her voice muffled. The accident had broken one of Zara's legs. Thankfully, it wasn't too serious, just a fractured bone. Still, she couldn't walk yet and had to do daily rehabilitation exercises for her joints. After I finished cleaning up, Zara glanced at me. You've already visited me, so you can go now. Beatrice should be getting out of class around now. As she spoke, Zara pressed the nurse call button. It happened to be time for her daily rehabilitation exercises. A short while later, a nurse hurried over and explained that there had been an emergency accident at the hospital, asking Zara to wait a bit longer. But when she noticed me, her eyes suddenly lit up. Perfect. Your boyfriend's here. Let him help you. It's really simple. Before I could deny anything, the nurse had already rushed away again. I scratched my head awkwardly. You want me to help? No need. Zara turned her head stubbornly away. So I simply sat down in the chair and started scrolling through my phone. Nearly an hour passed, yet the nurse still hadn't returned. The hospital remained chaotic and noisy the entire time. Eventually, I went to ask at the nurse's station and learned that there had been a major construction site accident, with many injured workers brought in. It seemed today's rehab session probably wasn't happening anymore. After hearing that, Zara still refused to look at me. She struggled to sit up on her own and began doing the rehabilitation exercises herself. But her leg was already inconvenient to move, and the injury was near the lower part of her calf. Every touch caused her so much pain that sweat covered her forehead. Let me help. I couldn't stand watching anymore. I pressed her down gently, then lifted her injured leg into my hands. Carefully, I massaged around the joint while holding her soft little foot and slowly rotating it in circles. Zara stared at me blankly, her gaze gradually becoming distant and dazed. I was completely focused on helping massage her leg when suddenly a sweet fragrance drifted toward me. A soft, warm body suddenly wrapped itself tightly around me. Elio. I was wrong. Zara clung tightly to me as tears streamed down her face. Chapter 11. I instantly froze. Then I gently tried pulling my arm away, attempting to escape Zara's embrace. But Zara held onto me desperately, her broken voice so fragile it made my heart ache. Elio, don't leave me. Okay, what happened before was my fault. Please, don't leave me. Hearing her plead like that, my resolve almost softened. But then the image of Beatrice standing alone in the freezing night wind flashed through my mind, her little face red from the cold while she waited for me. My heart hardened instantly. I still have things to do. Go get some rest. After speaking, I stood up and walked straight toward the door. Outside the room, a shadow flashed past. Before I could get a clear look, a sudden thud sounded behind me. I hurriedly turned around, only to see Zara kneeling on the floor beside the bed, her injured ankle still awkwardly hanging against the mattress. What are you doing? I scolded sharply before rushing over and lifting her up immediately. Just as I was about to place her back on the bed, Zara suddenly wrapped her arms tightly around me again and sobbed uncontrollably. Elio. I'll die without you. I've tried these past few days to forget you, but I can't do it. Please, don't leave me. Okay. My throat tightened. At first, I wanted to ask why she rejected my confession back then. But now that things had come to this point, did the truth even matter anymore? Even if she gave me a perfectly reasonable explanation, could I really abandon Beatrice and go back to her side? Zara, I already have a girlfriend now. I spoke softly. Do you really want me to abandon her? Zara's soft body trembled violently. Back then, the three of us had once talked together about our views on love. I still remembered Zara saying that love was sacred above all else, that both cheaters and homewreckers were unforgivable. She had even sworn that she would rather die than become the other woman. Brandon, meanwhile, had argued that love justified any means necessary. If you managed to win someone over, then they belong to you. All that nonsense about letting go for someone else's happiness was complete bullshit. Naturally, the two of them had started arguing again afterward. Then they asked for my opinion. I had simply shrugged and answered, whoever treats me well, I'll treat them well too. No principles at all. The two of them had cursed me together back then, and yet now, I somehow seemed to be the one with the strongest principles among us. In the end, Zara slowly loosened her grip. Silently, she watched as I placed her back onto the bed and gently pulled the blanket over her. Her beautiful eyes were red, yet she stubbornly held back her tears. Get some rest. After saying that, I turned and left without looking back. Chapter 12. By the time I arrived at the bar, Beatrice was already on stage singing. I waved at her, but she acted as though she hadn't seen me at all. I sent Brandon a message asking whether he had gone to take care of Zara. He quickly replied that he had already arrived but was currently being locked out of the room. Putting my phone away, I leaned lazily against the sofa and listened to my adorable girlfriend's beautiful singing voice. Before I knew it, I had fallen asleep. When I woke up again, however, the beauty on stage was already gone. Boss, where's Beatrice? Thanks to Beatrice, I had become fairly familiar with the bar owner too. She already left. The owner looked at me in surprise. Why are you still here? Huh? She left this early. I checked the time. 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, she told me she didn't want you picking her up so late every night anymore. So from now on she's only performing for 2 hours. The owner gave me a strange look. Kid, did you do something to upset her? She seemed pretty down all night. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Instantly, I remembered the shadow that had flashed past outside Zara's hospital room earlier. I hurriedly dialed Beatrice's number. Hello? Beatrice, where are you? I wasn't feeling well, so I came back to campus first. Not feeling well? What happened? Are you sick? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? Panic instantly rose in my chest. It's nothing, just a little cold. Beatrice's voice sounded weak and listless. My heart tightened. When I heard her singing earlier, I hadn't noticed she was sick at all. Let me take you to the hospital. No need. I'm hanging up now. I want to sleep for a bit. Before I could say anything else, Beatrice directly ended the call. Looks like you upset your girlfriend. The owner was a middle-aged man with a scruffy beard, the kind of guy who looked like he had plenty of stories behind him. He patted my shoulder and laughed. Relax. Even though Beatrice looked upset, I could tell she still cares about you a lot. Before you arrived tonight, she kept zoning out while singing and was constantly going off key. But after you got here, she immediately got better. Go apologize to her properly later. There's no way she'll stay mad at you for long. Got it. Thanks, boss. After thanking him, I absent-mindedly walked back toward campus. Before I went to the hospital, Beatrice had been perfectly fine. So why had she suddenly gotten upset tonight? Did she not want me visiting Zara? Honestly, that would make sense. After all, I used to like Zara. It was normal for Beatrice to overthink things. Did that mean I needed to completely cut ties with Zara from now on? As I walked, the school gate gradually came into view. Last time, Beatrice had waited for me right here. Almost instinctively, I glanced toward a dark corner nearby. A tall figure stood quietly in the shadows, seemingly watching me. My heart jumped. I immediately quickened my pace and walked over. In the darkness, a smiling girl with sparkling eyes was looking straight at me. What are you? Some kind of bloodhound? I'm standing this far away and you still noticed me. Why are you standing here again? Waiting for my boyfriend. Beatrice smiled sweetly. Have you seen him? If he doesn't hurry up and appear, I'm about to turn into a statue waiting for my husband. Haven't seen your boyfriend, I said while pulling the beauty into my arms. But I do know where your husband is. Hee hee. Then where's my husband? She asked mischievously. Instead of answering, I lowered my head and captured her soft lips in a kiss. MMPH. Beatrice let out a soft whimper and melted into my embrace. A long while later, we finally parted. Staring into the girl's beautiful eyes, I softly asked, "Did you bring your ID card?" Beatrice's delicate body trembled slightly. Then she quietly pulled out her ID card from her little purse and placed it into my hand. I've been carrying it with me this whole time. I nodded silently. I really had been an idiot. I had made her wait far too long. Chapter 13. Sunlight streamed through the window into the room, sweeping away the gloom that had lingered in my heart for days. Beatrice rested against my chest. Her messy hair spread across my skin. I held the perfect body in my arms, unable to let go of that soft, delicate warmth. Beatrice adorably rolled her eyes at me before lightly kissing my chest. Instantly, desire stirred within me again. I was wrong. Please spare me already, it was my first time. Beatrice pleaded pitifully. Looking at her sweet, lovable expression, I could only forcefully suppress the desire in my heart and gently stroke her soft hair. Aren't you going to ask why I was angry last night? You were angry. I pretended not to understand. Beatrice rolled her eyes again. She really seemed to love doing that. I was angry. She suddenly bit down on my shoulder hard enough to hurt. I quickly rubbed her head soothingly. I was wrong, baby. Beatrice let out a soft snort. If I wasn't worried you'd overthink things all night, I never would have waited for you at the school gate. Tenderness filled my chest as I pulled her delicate body closer. I understand everything. This girl, even when she was upset, she still carefully considered my feelings. At that point, what reason did I still have to make her wait anxiously for me? Beatrice hugged me tightly, burying her face in my chest as her body trembled faintly. A long while later, she finally raised her head and handed me the phone lying beside her. On the screen was a photo taken inside the hospital room. In the picture, Zara and I were embracing each other. An anonymous text message. Beatrice whispered softly while leaning against me. I don't know who sent it. I do. You do? I nodded. There were things I simply didn't want to argue about, but that didn't mean I was stupid. You really know? Beatrice asked again. As I stroked her hair, I nodded lightly. Who else could it be besides Brandon? Beatrice visibly relaxed. I was worried you wouldn't be able to handle it. I stayed silent. Ever since Zara kept apologizing over and over, and after noticing how much worse her relationship with Brandon had become, I had already figured things out. At this point, exposing him no longer meant anything. Do you trust me? I looked at Beatrice seriously. If I didn't trust you, would I have given myself to you? Beatrice rolled her eyes. Then she asked nervously. Now that you know Zara rejected you publicly because Brandon manipulated things behind the scenes, you're not going to regret being with me, right? Then why didn't you tell me earlier? I smiled while gently pinching Beatrice's pale chin. Beatrice rolled her eyes again, her pretty face flushing red. I wanted to tell you several times last night, but you were acting like a maniac and wouldn't stop pinning me down long enough for me to speak. I pulled her into my arms and whispered softly. My girlfriend, my future wife, there'll only ever be one Beatrice, unless you decide you don't want me anymore. Whoever treated me well, I would treat them well in return, and Beatrice's love for me had already become something I could never escape from. Chapter 14. Sunlight spread across the pathway as I pushed a baby stroller forward. Inside, a chubby little baby babbled happily to himself. Beside me, a mature and stunningly beautiful married woman clung to my arm with a face full of happiness. Zara, over here. The beautiful woman suddenly waved enthusiastically toward the distance. Another equally gorgeous married woman jogged over. After greeting us, she immediately looked toward the baby in the stroller. Lucas is already this big. Come here. Let Auntie hold you. Zara picked up the baby with a delighted smile before looking toward us. Beatrice, you're getting prettier and prettier. So are you. Elio, on the other hand, keeps getting uglier every year. Look at this beer belly. It's practically like he's 10 months pregnant. Can you stop roasting me every single time we meet? It's a habit from growing up together. Can't change it. Zara raised an eyebrow arrogantly, sounding completely unreasonable. I instantly fell speechless. Ah. Childhood sweethearts really are something special. Beatrice laughed softly. This guy argues with me non-stop at home, but every single time, you're the only one who can completely shut him down. Zara shrugged. No matter how deep a childhood friendship is, it still can't beat a love that falls from the sky. Just look at how thoroughly you've whipped him. Nowadays he doesn't even dare add random girls on WeChat. Who says I don't dare? I'm just avoiding suspicious situations. I never told you not to add them. Beatrice rolled her eyes. So what brings you here this time? I asked, passing through again, staying 1 or 2 days before disappearing. Not this time. I've been busy lately. Busy with what? You're almost 30 already. Shouldn't you hurry up and get married? Planning to become a forever single career woman or what? Back in the past, Zara definitely would have exploded at that comment, but this time, she surprisingly didn't argue back. Instead, a rare look of happiness appeared on her face. She pulled 2 bright red wedding invitations out of her purse and proudly waved them in front of us. This queen is getting married next month, so make sure you prepare a huge wedding gift. I froze for a second before taking the invitation and glancing at the groom's name. Thankfully, it wasn't Brandon. Don't worry, we'll definitely be there. As for the money gift, it's the thought that counts, right? Get lost. Don't worry. Beatrice blinked mischievously. We'll definitely prepare a giant gift package to commemorate Elio's lost youth. After hesitating for a moment, I still ended up asking, Did you invite Brandon to the wedding? Zara shook her head. We haven't contacted each other in a long time. Then, see you next month.